Hi everyone, I'm Sinistar. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create skins to put over your models in Natural Selection 2 and bring them to the Steam Workshop. I'm going to go through the entire process and it's rather easy. There are a few requirements that you need in order to do this. Number one is Steam and Natural Selection 2, kind of a given. Secondly, you'll need Photoshop and a plugin. So, if you don't have Photoshop, I don't know what to tell you. I don't use GIMP or anything, so you'll probably have to look for the file type that I'm about to explain right now. So, let's get started. The first thing you need is the NVIDIA texture tools for Adobe Photoshop. These tools can be found on NVIDIA's website, and a simple Google of NVIDIA texture tools will bring you there. And you download it from right here, depending if you have 64-bit or 32-bit Photoshop, and install it. Once you have that, you can go to Photoshop, and if you go to Save As, or Save, and you have D3D/DDS, that means that the plugin is successfully installed. So, creating mods. For starters, what we will want to do is open up Launchpad. And to do this, we're going to go to Steam, which is from our directory. So in my case will be the local disk, program file, Steam, wherever you have it installed. Steam Apps, Common, Natural Selection 2, scroll down until you find Launchpad, and open that up. I already had it open. So, this is Launchpad. This is pretty much the tool set that comes with Natural Selection 2, similar to how the Source SDK works, but in this case, specifically for the Spark engine. So, the first thing we're going to do is open up the viewer. When you go to the viewer, it's pretty much, you can see every single 3D model that's in the game. To do that, you go to Open, and then from Natural Selection 2, go to NS2, Models, and then wherever you want to go. For this tutorial, I'm going to select the Arc, and I found that just from going to Marines, Arc, and I selected the Arc model. For this particular skin, I've decided that I'm going to put some racing stripes on it, and maybe like a little decal on the side. Something simple. If for some reason that your model's moving or something like that, you can simply pause it right here, if that makes it easier for you. So what we're going to do is, once you've decided what you want to do, you're going to open up Photoshop and start creating some of your stuff. Now, before we begin, ignore this on the screen for now. We're going to go back to Steam, the Steam folder rather, Steam Apps, Common, Natural Selection 2, NS2, Models, Materials. Nope, Models. Marines, whatever you're selecting, in my case the Arc, and Arc DDS file. Now, you may not have it specifically open to Photoshop immediately, just open up in Photoshop. You can also go to File, Open, if that works too. You'll get this little prompt, just use using default sizes. Here you'll see the texture for the Arc. It's very complicated. It's also recommended that before you decide what you want to do is look at the UV map. This is because what you want to do might be a little harder than you imagined. In this case, some of the arc is symmetrical, which means that if I put something on one part of it, for example, this piece right here, which is located here on the model, it'll show up here as well. So if I wanted to put like a number here, like the number 5, unfortunately, and I only want it on one side, unfortunately it would show up on both sides. I don't want that, and I can't really do it because that's how the model's textured. Plain and simple. But in this case, I'm okay with that. So, with that open, you're going to then open up what you want to work with. In this case, I've decided to use this as the decal. Before I just throw it on there, though, I'm going to touch it up and give it a little bit of flair. It looks okay. Anyways, in my case, I'm going to merge or flatten this image before I send it over and just get rid of that white space again, because we don't want that. When you're happy, select what you want or save it. In my case, I'm just moving quickly. I'm going to just copy it, bring it over to the arc, add a new layer, and paste it in. At this point, you're going to want to go to Save As and maybe make a Photoshop file. Reason being is that you don't want to accidentally save over the file that you currently have, in this case the arc. Otherwise, if you mess it up, you'll have to verify your cache and everything like that, which is annoying. So I'm just going to have an arc PSD on my desktop. So I'm going to just continue to work. I'm just going to put her right here. I'm just going to flip her around. It's always good to also use different layer settings, because most of the textures in Natural Selection 2 are metal, and you're going to want to make it look like the texture has actually been, or whatever you're applying, the decal is kind of has that kind of like metallic look to it. Also, it's a little pixelated, so if I took something like linear burn, it'll make it a little more thicker. And when you find something you kind of like, just do that. And making that kind of look a little more engraved inside, messing around with the opacity a little bit and the fill also helps a lot. You can always change it later, but this is fine for now. And then lastly, I'm going to add these racing stripes. Just going to do it really simply. Real simple. Just make it really messy. Yeah. Like someone just painted this on really quick. Yeah. Let's get them red stripes. It's super fast, right? Whoop. Remember, if you're going to edit the file, use a new layer. And just like I did with the girl, I'm going to want to mess with those layers a little bit. I kind of like multiply a little bit. Sometimes a layer setting may not be as helpful. Sometimes just messing around with the fill and the opacity just works a little better. This is also good if you want to retexture the entire model. Like if I want to select it all as green, I could just kind of change the color. Again, you could probably just use saturation, but in this case, it doesn't really matter. So, alright, I'm happy with it. So, when we go back to our model, you'll notice after we save that nothing's happened to it. It's pretty much the way that it's been the entire time. So, this is where we create it so it will work in the game. Before we actually save it though, we're going to want to go back to our directory where we found the texture, and we're going to want to rename it. And in this case, arc_old. Reason being is that if you mess up or something, you have a backup. Then, if you look at the viewer, it should change, or sometimes it won't. Otherwise, it will. If you reopen it or something, it might lose its texture. But in this case, it doesn't really matter right now because we're saving it as the texture now. So you can go to Save As, DDS, Arc, and you're going to save it exactly where you found it. In this case, I found it in my Steam Apps, Common, Natural Selection 2, NS2, Models, Marines, Arc, and there's the folder. And I'm going to rename it exactly the way it was originally. So arc old was originally arc, therefore arc.das. Save. You get to this window right here, shouldn't have to touch it. Just hit save. And then just wait for the little spinny wheel to stop spinning. Do. Alright, so we're finished. And then when we go to the viewer again, yeah, that's what I mean by it would lose its texture. But it should reappear. Let's open it up again. I love it when video tutorials get screwed up. There we go. No, still nothing. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, yep, there it's the girl, and then there's my terrible racing stripes. I'm gonna put it back to deployed. So, alright, so the racing stripes didn't turn out that good. And from a distance, it's okay. If I added a little more. But in any case, that's pretty much how you apply a custom texture. So, from there, you would want to test it in the game. Just to make sure that it's running the way you want it to. Once again, the NS2, what you want to do is go to Training, Explore Mode, Explore. Reason being is that Explore mode tends to load faster, and you're just checking for one thing, so there's no need into worrying about starting up a LAN server or anything like that. Once you get into the ready room, what you'll want to do is hit the tilde key, which is next to the number 1, type in cheats 1. Then, while making sure you're looking at the floor, type in spawn arc. And you'll notice that our arc has its racing stripes and its decal. So we know that it's working. So what we can do now is we can start to publish our mod. So, continue. When you've confirmed that your texture has worked, the next thing we have to do is create a short little directory so we can create our mod and tell us where our modifications are. So, when we go to Launchpad, we'll be using this to create our mod. You'll notice up here on the top, we have a Create Mod button. When you hit that, you'll see we have a name. Make sure that when you name it, that it's something that you'll remember. If you notice here, this is where all your mods are. I have Spitfire Commando and Test 3. I can't change that name as far as I know. So when you get a lot of mods coming in that you created, you might want to just have a name that you can remember. So we're going to create a mod. We're going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Racing Arc. And we'll need an output directory. This directory is basically telling the publisher for the Launchpad where our modifications are. And we're going to want to create a separate folder for that. So this folder is going to be set up as a hierarchy. First, we're going to go to our desktop and we're going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call it Racing Arc, so I just know where it is. Next, we're going to open up our directory where our mod is. So in this case, Natural Selection 2, NS2 Models Marine Arc. And you'll notice I still have my file here, and I still have arc old. I'm going to be basically copying this directory right here into this folder. So that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a folder inside a folder inside a folder. So inside Racing Arc, I'm going to start with models. So models. We don't start with NS2 or Natural Selection 2 because when mods are mounted, it's assumed that it's going to be in the NS2 folder. So after I made models, I'm create a new one called Marines. Make sure you spell these right. Otherwise, they will not work. And arc. And then in the arc folder, we're going to take our mod, our modified arc texture, and copy it and paste it into here. Actually, cut and paste really, because we want to delete the new modification that's actually in our NS2 folder. And just change arc old back into original arc. This will allow the game to run normally, and if you turn your mod on and off, you'll see the difference. Otherwise, no matter, even if you turned off the mod when you finally get it into the workshop, it'll go back to normal. It won't still be what you created. So we're done with that, and we'll just minimize it. So with that created, we'll go back to our mod properties and output directory. We're going to select the folder that we put all our stuff in. So Racing Arc in this case. Not models, not Marines or Arc, but Racing Arc. Or if I was doing something else, maybe the Spitfire or the Spitfire Black. We're just doing the racing arc. Hit OK. Kind, basically it categorizes on the workshop what your mod is. Obviously this isn't a game, a level, gameplay, or a server side. It's cosmetic. It's a skin. So hit OK. And you'll notice right here we have our new mod created. We'll next go into Publisher and give our mod a name. And I'll call this Racing Arc Tutorial. Obviously you can name it whatever you want, and you pretty much have free range. Just make sure you follow the guidelines, you know, no swearing or all that stuff. In the description, put down your description, I guess. So, makes the arc look faster. And then, alright, this is a tutorial that you can follow on, or there's a tutorial that teaches you to skin. Yay! And I'll have a link here later. You can always change the description later, in the title even. Required build, that doesn't really matter for skins as far as I know. It's more for like if you're doing server side stuff or gameplay or other things like that. Preview image. I already made a preview image, but basically what it is, it's the picture that you'll see in the Steam Workshop. So for example, if we go to Natural Selection 2 and we select this one, it's this image right here. These ones you can add in later once you get it uploaded, but it's for this one. Otherwise what might happen is you'll just be stuck like that. I don't think you can change that once you put it in. It'll be this default image right here. So I'm just going to upload my image. And just so you all know, it looks like this. Pretty cool. A note about the preview image is it has to be 512 by 512. Anything larger than that or smaller, it'll give you an error. And then lastly, publishing. Public, friends only, private. I'm going to do private for now. You can change it in the Steam Workshop or even in here as well. Save locally, test mod. I haven't really used those yet. I just usually just hit publish all and it works. So when you hit publish all, on the bottom left it'll say publishing and you'll get a bunch of dots. And it's pretty much working and uploading to the Steam server. And it's pretty much the time where you wait. And then it'll say publish was successful. Great. So now we can exit. And what we'll do is we'll go to the Steam Workshop. And we will go to View Natural Selection 2's Workshop, select ourselves, and you'll notice that he's right here. Look at that. And of course from here you can edit the title and description, add images and videos, remove or add contributors, delete it, change visibility, you know, things like that. You'll get your stats. Yeah, it's pretty much I don't know, a mod, a workshop thing. Yeah. So just like you would with any other normal mod, you hit subscribe so that you can run your mod. You know, go to Launchpad or even from Steam and just run NS2. Start up NS2 again, hit mods. Make sure that your mod is activated and hit restart. Actually, I'm going to change that too. It's my own thing. And I'm going to go to Training, Explore mode once again. And you're basically going to follow the same steps as before. And just like before, when you're in the ready room, type in Sheets 1, Spawn Arc. And there you have it, folks. That is how you create a mod, a skin mod, in Natural Selection 2. So, hope you enjoy yourself. Happy modding.